Okay, let's dive in. What if one of the biggest threats to your health isn't just, diet or stress?
Or even genetics.
Exactly. What if it's something you're doing right now? Something, well, quieter, like sitting.
It sounds a bit dramatic, doesn't it? But yeah, that's exactly what we're digging into today. Our sources point to this profound, often kind of hidden impact of just stillness, hours of it.
Right. And we're talking effects on basically everything: muscles, spine, even your brain, blood flow.
Right down to your cells. It's kind of silent breakdown.
Absolutely. So this deep dive, it's really looking at what happens when our bodies, which are, let's face it, designed for movement,
Constantly moving.
are forced into stillness. Think about modern life. Our goal here is to unpack all that, give you some clear, actionable stuff you can actually use.
Yeah, things that can genuinely make a difference day to day.
Okay, so let's start with this idea, this design flaw. Think about your day. How much you're actually not sitting.
It adds up fast, right? Breakfast, commute, desk, lunch.
Evenings on the couch. It can easily be 8, 10, maybe even 12 hours for a lot of us.
And that's the core mismatch. Our bodies just didn't evolve for this. We were built to be moving, hunting, gathering, billing, whatever, not stuck in chairs.
So when we don't move, things start to go wrong. Silently.
Pretty much. Our systems, bones, muscles, circulation, nerves, they expect movement. Without it, they start to, falter. It's like leaving a sports car idling constantly. It's just not good for the engine.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So beyond just like feeling a bit stiff, what's one of the first big structural things that happens when we sit so much?
Well, let's look right at the spine and joints. When you sit, especially if you tend to slouch.
Which, let's be honest, many of us do.
Right, your hip flexors, those muscles at the front of your hips, they get chronically short. They're just held in that shortened position for hours.
And that causes problems.
Oh yeah. Over time, that shortening actually pulls your whole pelvis forward into what's called an anterior tilt.
Ah, okay, so it tilts forward. And that affects the lower back.
Is that why it gets tight? That's a huge part of it. That forward tilt forces an exaggerated curve, or lordosis, in your lumbar spine, your lower back.
Which puts pressure. Where?
Right on those lower spinal discs. Specifically the ones near your waist, L4, L5, and L5S1 are common culprits. Imagine those discs like little jelly donuts. Sitting squishes the front.
Pushing the jelly backward.
Exactly. And that's a major pathway to disc bulges, herniations, and that awful shooting pain we call sciatica.
Oof. Okay, so the lower back takes a hit, but you said it's a chain reaction, right? What happens higher up?
Well, yeah, it doesn't stop there. Your mid-back, the thoracic spine, it gets stiff, loses mobility, then your shoulders tend to round forward.
Kind of collapsing inwards.
Yeah, and internally rotating. That puts stress on your rotator cuff, tightens up your chest, muscles the pecs, and the whole thing kind of culminates in your head pushing forward.
The classic tech neck, I hear about that all the time.
It's a real issue. And get this detail from the sources, it's quite startling. For every single inch your head drifts forward, your neck effectively has to support an extra 10 pounds.
Wait, an extra 10 pounds just for 1 inch?
Yep. Your head already weighs around 12 pounds. So if you're sitting with your head just 2 inches forward, which is pretty common.
That's like 20 extra pounds
Yes,
constantly.
20 pounds of extra, constant stress on all those neck muscles, ligaments, discs. It's no wonder it leads to chronic headaches, jaw problems, TMJ issues, and even pinched nerves.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
that structural impact is significant.
Yeah.
But there's more, right? Something about the brain and nervous system.
Absolutely. This is fascinating. Your body's movement is deeply, deeply connected to your nervous system's health. Moving creates what scientists call afferent input.
Efferent input, meaning the signals going to the brain from the body.
Precisely. Think of it like sensory feedback. Your body is constantly talking to your brain when you move.
Okay, so what happens when we sit still? Does the conversation just stop?
Largely, yes. When you move, little sensors in your joints and muscles, proprioceptors, they fire off signals. These signals stimulate key parts of the brain, like the cerebellum and the frontal cortex.
And those areas keep us.
Sharp, alert, focused, even emotionally regulated. Movement helps keep those pathways active. But when you sit for a long time, that input just dries up. The conversation goes quiet.
And the result is that feeling of brain fog, less focus.
It can definitely contribute. People often report trouble concentrating, slower reactions, maybe even feeling less motivated or more irritable. And it's important to stress this isn't just in your head, so to speak.
Right.
It's a real physiological suppression of the brain pathways that keep us engaged and resilient.
Okay, so if you're listening and maybe feeling that slump right now, here's that quick reset the sources mentioned. Just try standing up. even for a second.
Yeah, just get it.
Shake your arms out a bit, roll your shoulders back and forth, loosen things up. Now take a really deep breath in through your nose, hold it, and slowly let it all out.
Just that simple act.
Yeah, even just 10 seconds. It can change your blood flow, boost oxygen, and even stimulate your vagus nerve, which helps calm everything down.
Yeah.
It's amazing how fast the body responds.
It really is. And that response, that need for movement, leads us straight into the circulatory system and metabolism impacts.
Okay, so blood flow. What happens there when we sit?
It slows down dramatically, especially to your legs. Your calf muscles are actually sometimes called your second heart because when they contract, they help pump blood back up towards your heart.
So if they're not contracting because you're sitting still.
The blood tends to pool down there. That's why you might get swollen ankles or see varicose veins develop over time. It can also increase the risk of edema and, more seriously, deep vein thrombosis DVT, blood clots.
Okay, that's the visible stuff. But what about inside? Like how our body processes fats?
Big impact there too. Sitting reduces the activity of key enzymes like lipoprotein lipase. These enzymes are crucial for breaking down fats circulating in your blood.
So less enzyme activity means?
More fat stays in the blood. You see higher triglycerides, lower levels of HDL, that's the good cholesterol, and that contributes to plaque building up in your arteries.
Okay, now here's a stat that really jumped out at me. It's from a study, I think in Digestion back in 2000. It said every extra hour of sitting per day
Yeah.
increases cardiovascular disease risk by up to 14%. 14.
Yeah.
And here's the real kicker.
Regardless of exercise, right?
Exactly. Doesn't matter how much you hit the gym. That hour at the gym apparently doesn't undo the damage from the other 9 or 10 hours in the chair.
That's such a crucial point. It tells us that movement needs to be spread throughout the day. It's not just about one exercise session. Sitting basically slows your whole metabolism down.
So insulin sensitivity drops.
Right. Your body becomes less responsive to insulin, and you tend to store more visceral fat, that really dangerous fat deep in your abdomen. All of this links directly to metabolic syndrome.
Which is a precursor to heart disease, stroke.
And type 2 diabetes. It's a whole cascade.
It really paints a picture. Okay, let's go even deeper then. Impact 4, the cellular level and organ function. This feels like the really hidden stuff.
It kind of is. We don't often think about it, but being sedentary affects your mitochondria. Those are the tiny energy factories in your cells.
Right, they make ATP, the body's energy fuel.
Exactly. Less movement means they become less efficient. They produce less ATP, they don't clear out waste as well, and there's more oxidative stress. Basically, it's like cellular wear and tear speeding up.
So you're saying sitting can literally make our cells age faster.
The evidence points that way. It seems to accelerate aging processes throughout the body, skin, heart, brain, you name it. Some studies even link lots of sitting to shorter telomeres.
Telomeres. Those are the caps on our DNA, right? The ones linked to aging speed.
That's them. Shorter telomeres generally mean faster cellular aging. So yeah, it's like sitting pushes the fast forward button on your internal clock.
Wow. Okay, another quick reset then to counter some of that physical slump. This one's for the chest.
Yes, the chest opener.
Try reaching your hands behind your back, clasp them together if you can, and just gently pull your arms down and back, feeling your chest open up.
Yeah, you should feel a nice stretch across the front of the shoulders and chest. It directly counters that inward collapse from slouching.
Feels good, actually. Okay, what about internal organs? Digestion.
Also affected. When you're slumped in a chair, your abdomen gets compressed. This physically restricts the movement of your intestines, what's called motility.
So food doesn't move through as easily.
Right, which can lead to common stuff like bloating, maybe acid reflux, constipation, things people often experience but might not connect to just sitting still.
And I guess stress and shallow breathing, which often happen at a desk, don't help.
Definitely not. Your diaphragm, that big breathing muscle, is also key for digestion and moving lymph fluid. If you're hunched over, it can't move fully. It compounds the problem.
Lymph fluid. You mean the lymphatic system for immunity.
Exactly. Your lymphatic system doesn't have a pump like the heart. It relies on muscle contractions and movement to circulate lymph, which carries immune cells and removes waste.
So no movement means stagnant lymph.
Pretty much sluggish flow. That can mean a slower immune response, potentially more inflammation buildup, and just less efficient toxin clearance overall.
Okay, this is a lot. It's
Yeah.
quite the catalog of downsides to sitting.
Mhm.
So the crucial part, what do we do about it?
Mhm.
The sources talk about micro movement.
Yeah, and that's key. Micro movement is like medicine here. The simplest, most effective advice is just Get up regularly. Every 30 minutes seems to be the sweet spot.
Say stand up.
Stand up, yeah, but move a little for at least a minute or two. Set a timer on your phone, whatever works. March on the spot, do a few gentle squats, reach for the ceiling.
Small bursts.
Tiny bursts, but they make a difference. Studies show even these little breaks help manage blood sugar and insulin levels.
So it's less about one big workout and more about breaking up the sitting consistently.
That's the core idea. Interrupt the stillness. If you have a standing desk, alternate between sitting and standing. Take short walking breaks, and pay attention to your posture when you are sitting.
Right, the posture reminders. Sit upright. Try to keep your ears aligned over your shoulders.
Use lower back support if you need it. Keep your feet flat on the floor.
And that head position, again, just remembering that 12-pound head needs to stay balanced. Every inch forward adds that extra 10 pounds of strain. 2 inches forward means your neck is dealing with, 32 pounds?
Right, 32 pounds of constant load. It really hammers home the importance of alignment.
And finally, just general movement.
Yeah, incorporate some kind of full body movement into your daily routine. It doesn't have to be intense. Walking, stretching, yoga, some light resistance work, anything that gets the whole system working together.
Keeps the kinetic chain active, the nerves firing.
Exactly. Remember, movement isn't just exercise. It's circulation, it's stimulation, it's fundamental to being alive and healthy.
So, wrapping this deep dive up, the big message seems to be that movement is just. It's how our bodies speak the language of health.
Yeah. And silencing that language with hours of sitting leads to that quiet, systemic breakdown we talked about.
But the good news is, honoring that need for movement, even in really small ways throughout the day,
Unlocks so much of your body's potential for health, for energy, for vitality.
So maybe the final thought to leave everyone with is this simple question to ask yourself throughout the day, especially when you feel stuck.
What can I move right now?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if it's just your ankles or your shoulders or standing up for 30 seconds.
Because that little bit of movement, it's always, always better than staying completely still. Always.